I'm excited. Hello. This is the littlest book of Schwab's whole repertoire, other than the graphic novels, I think.
It's a little one.
Got different pages.
I've got the same as you, Jem, because I got Waterstones.
Yeah.
I have the Lumicrate one, and I was
We are
saying
live.
to
Did you know about this?
we
Now
are
it's live.
I thought we were just
amazing.
sharing our books.
Just
On
thought
a
they looked
screen.
pretty. This was I was saying to Lisa that this was my last Illumicrate I got before I rage quit.
I mean, it's a good one to end on.
It was a very good one. I specifically waited for this one because I knew it was the next one after one I was gonna, and then I was like, no, I need the shiny. I need
I did
the
make notes
pretty.
on this, but you know,
I have some, but honestly, I got
Don't
too
know, yeah.
invested and literally did not want to make notes.
you
I
can
actually read this in advance. Normally, I'm like finishing it the day of the live show. But
I
finished
know. I think we all
weeks
finished
ago.
it ahead of time.
What's
I
going
I
on?
know. Shock.
Who is she? Who are they? What have you done with
I
the
actually
normal
finished this
hosts?
last month because all of my months from last month's TBR is in that bag on the floor because it's obviously all over the place in my house right now. And I had to keep it out. Like
Yeah.
no
know.
deadlines, no like trying to finish it. Who are we, guys?
don't
Who
know.
are we?
I'm scared. I don't like it.
Proud of
I'm not saying the same will happen for Vicious and Vengeful,
It's fine. It's fine.
but this is what we're focusing on this month, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Before we go further, what did you rate it? And was it a reread for you? Because it might. I don't think it is for everyone. Lisa?
It was a 5 for me, and it was a reread.
Jen?
It was a 5 for me, and it was a reread.
And it was a 5 for me. First read.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I had such a good time.
Good.
I had such a good time. Let's
I
say hi
think-
to comments, and then we can quickly. Hi, Brett. Haven't fit. That's okay. I feel like I've always started just a bit too late. Yeah, see, this is what we're normally like. Oh, when we go up to comments, we see more of our faces. I don't know if I like this. Hold on.
It's just
This
me
is
and
more
you,
of me.
though.
There we go. Let's change that because that's. I don't think I can stare at myself all of this. Let's not.
I'll have to make a background with just the background for us to use.
I
It doesn't
hadn't
matter
thought
for
about
me,
it.
I don't pay for it, so I can't change mine anyway. But I'll make one for you guys.
This is the first time I paid for it. Last month, it's like I was like, with the 12 hours every week, I was like, I can't be bothered signing in and then signing out and not getting as many people because I send it to everyone and then I'm like, turn up, and then I'm like, oh crap, I've got 6 people and I can't have you. So yeah. Hello, Chloe. I did. It was very pretty.
I want the version, even though I know not what Dutch is. No, that's not. I know what Dutch is. I can't.
Do you know what English is?
I can't speak Dutch.
I don't know what Dutch is.
I know what Dutch is. I just can't speak Dutch. Is what I meant. Nor can I speak French.
Zebra.
Zebra.
I get to see Zebra in 48 hours, and I'm very excited. Vicious, I read a few years ago, so I'm good for the live. Yeah, I have read Vicious once. It's the first Schwab book I read, and I haven't read Vengeful, and I hate myself for it, but I also wasn't rereading it because that meant that we would read it later. So we went with
we're
it.
making you wait so long as well.
I know, but it's fine because now I'm like, I need to know. All
I'm
good.
very excited to reread it.
All
my
good.
first read of that. I'm not ready.
It's the only book I think that you're reading for the first time that I've reread. Because obviously it's the only one I'd read. Like, there isn't very many of them. Hello? Please warn me if you go into spoilers. We will tell you when we are going to start talking about stuff, and then you can say bye and come back.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
I am something. Ja is I, if I remember correctly. Vicious was my first Schwab. What was your first Schwab?
Ade. No. Dark Shadow Magic series.
This is a very good choice.
Dark Shade Magic series, then it was Addy. And I was scared of reading Addy because loads of people were saying, this is very pretty. Oh, I love that. Because loads of people were saying, like, people who loved Dark Shade Magic didn't like Addy, and vice versa. As much, so I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And then Becca was like, no, I loved both. And I was like, well, we have similar
Okay.
tastes in fantasy, so crack on, and I loved it.
It's very hard to beat a darker shade of magic, though.
Well, it was my first Schwab book, but it was also the book that kind of got me back into reading. And now
Now
Here we
doing
are.
this Wobble of a Ding Dong.
And everything.
Everything.
With friends. Up
these
friends.
are still to blame for my crippling addiction. Which
That's,
is also to blame for probably the best group of friends I've ever had. So swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Like, can we just appreciate though before we go into like anything to do with the book, like the artwork in this?
I know.
Just like it's very simplistic in like when you first look at it, but then when you look at it in more detail, like I only realised, like on reread that that's a face. So you
Yeah.
see it as a house, and then like that's a fucking face.
This is one of my favorites. What am I tilting? Like the outer body and the skull.
Yeah, you see that's the hand, and then that's the face. Like I didn't even notice that the first time I read it. Like it's just amazing. I love this so much.
It's so cool, isn't it?
Another reason why I didn't have an annotate inside this version.
I also loved this one. Was it just me, or did that look like a beating heart?
Oh, it does. But also two faces turning away from each other.
Yeah. They're just so cool. Like, I could literally look at everything inside this book and not have found everything.
They're a bit like those Rorschach tests. Because I look at that and I see a brain.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So we all like looked at that and saw something different.
Yeah,
Which
but
is
it
really
also
cool.
looks like lungs. Do you know, like the arteries in the middle? Or, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like two halves of. Like, you could grade it all day at that artwork, but I don't know how to start this without spoilers. So first off, let's just.
It's a fourth design.
In between two parts, is it?
Yeah, if you look, there's like a hand reaching between the two.
Oh my god, there is! Jesus, I missed that totally. Is that Olivia's house? Ooh. Anyway.
Yeah, I saw that the first time I read it, but
so,
it's just so cool.
What did you think of Olivia as a main character?
Do we stop here without spoilers? Are we going to manage to do anything else? Because I don't think it's listed anywhere. What I was away to say.
I don't know how far Britt is into it.
Yeah, Britt, how far in are you?
Because we're not good at going like linear.
Order. We're not Chloe. Not Chloe and Becca.
We love you. Thank you for stopping in. I hope you enjoy it. Part 3.
See for vicious, 100%.
Yeah.
We don't want to ruin anything for you, but we are not good at like.
Yeah, because that's like here.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so much that happens, Brett. Like, I don't want to be the reason that you don't get to experience this the way I did.
No.
Yeah. But we'll see you soon. If you're still here. If not.
Give us a bye before you go so that we know. Because I don't want to start talking and then you still be here. Yes, you are very much getting to the good parts. Please enjoy the book and 5-star it like we did.
And then tell us all your thoughts after.
Yeah, come and tell us.
Oh, right, she's gone.
There we go. I just didn't want to say, like, I don't want to spoil anything, and it's not listed on here at all that she can't speak.
I would hate to be the reason that it gets ruined for someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such a phenomenal book. Like the fact that she can communicate so well without speech is so good. like the fact that the caretaker can sign.
I know.
I
It
was like,
was adorable.
and like the fact that she attempted to speak with her cousin, but he couldn't read, so they had to like
And
make
he
it out in a different way and find their own way of communication. I was just like,
yeah. He was a. Obviously, we find out why he's the way that he is, but
I feel like I need to join.
at first, I very much disliked him because of the way that he had treated her. But can we talk about the orphanage for a second, though? How
How is
like
that place allowed to be?
Because it
the
was back in the
Schwabalong
day
to
when
give
there
you
were
a
no
tragic backstory, don't you?
Yeah.
It's just like
But
it,
also, did anybody else? This is what I mean. We don't go chronologically. Like we're already all over the place. While we were at the orphanage, how much did you just want to slap the other kids?
Oh, so
oh
Like-
my
much.
god, so much.
So
Like,
much. There was
she
not
had
a shred
so
of
much-
empathy in one of those kids.
She
And,
had
like-
so much self control.
Yeah.
Well,
I would have definitely beat up a bitch by that point because, like, I can't express myself because I can't speak, and so I'm already feeling pretty isolated, and you're making it worse.
And I'm in a place where I obviously don't have family the same as you do. Like we're all off on a back foot here. Yeah, you're making it worse, and then you go and
Yeah.
take the most prized possession I own and pull
Yeah.
it apart. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
that was
I was
so
like, I was
foul.
ready to like beat down for her within like the first part, and I was like, this is just.
I would have acted out the same way she did. Not gonna lie, I would have.
Her
just
reaction
gone
was
full
brilliant.
Yeah, and the fact that the one other thing that annoyed me is the fact that she would try and sign, and they were like, "No, just write it down." Like they're totally taking that part of her away from her.
Yeah.
It's signing. If you're deaf or mute, like signing is like
Your language.
yeah, and
It's your
it's like
speech. Like
it's like taking that away. That was horrible, and like just basically
I would have
write
cut
it
off
down
more of that girl's
because I
hair.
can't
Like,
bother learning. I can't
Yeah,
bother
I can't
learning
bother to
sign
learn to
language,
communicate
so
with
you
you.
write it down for
Yeah.
me. Yeah,
And I
Even
think
though
the worst thing about it was that obviously at some point there had been, were they nuns or something?
yeah,
There had
sisters
been a sister there who was willing to work with
teach
her
her.
because
Yeah.
it taught her. And then
Yeah.
as soon as she left, none of the others could be bothered. So she had it and it got taken away from her again.
yeah,
It's like really
Perfect.
shit.
I
Yeah.
also liked this bit. So just literally page 8, and at this point I was literally like, yes, girl, like go. The bit about you need to know what you want to get to go to who you go to. The matrons had their vices. Lara has cigarettes, and Jessamine has lemon drops. Beth has penny dreadfuls, and Agatha, well, she has several. A bottle of brandy sloshes in the top drawer, and beneath that, Olivia finds a tin of cookies iced with sugar and a paper bag of clementines bright as tiny sunsets. She takes 3 of the iced cookies and 1 piece of fruit and retreats silently to the empty dorm to enjoy her dinner after she's been locked away for being bad. Like, I was literally 8 pages in, and I was like, okay, Mishma, let's go. I was like, yep. It's just her, like, I know it's not about the characters, and I literally will wax lyrical about Schwab's writing, like, you guys have opened me up to a wonderful world of Schwab. But, like, her writing is just so good.
Yeah.
Like, they literally can put anything down on paper, and it just sounds so good.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I don't
they
know
put-
how the fuck they do it, but they're just, like, I figured, like, they are the equivalent of, like, the old poet laureates. Like, they can just put anything down on a page and I will read it.
Yeah.
the thing is, you could tell that the way that they do the way that the writing style has developed since the Near Witch, because the Near Witch gave you like that eerie feeling, but there was something that was missing from that meant that we all give us like a 4-star, didn't?
Yeah.
And then there was this where like the level of eeriness that's portrayed just by the way that they describe things, the way that they show the feelings and things like that, and I was getting chills just thinking about Olivia being in this situation and seeing these things and like being able to talk to ghouls, and like describing what the ghouls looked like and stuff. It was like freak. It's eerie, isn't it? It's kind of like
Yeah.
And I
Because the
don't know if
fact
it's
that all of they always had like a part of them missing, yet she could see it perfectly well, and she was like, yeah, this is just a little girl that's over there. No,
yeah.
no, this is this is not
No,
right.
I'm a lovely.
But the fact that they could hear her thoughts and she could actually speak to them,
Yeah.
I have just nothing but good things to say about this book. We're like 15, 20 minutes in. It'll be great fun. Did
It's like,
you like Olivia when she started to leave the orphanage? So like when she was in the car and the driver was funny. Did they not make a comment about never being this far north or something? And she was just like, mate.
But I found that bit so funny because I was like, he just reminded me of like a proper London cabbie. Because she got in the car and he immediately was like, conversation time. And then was like, fuck, she can't speak. I'm not sure what to do. Oh, just keep walking. I'm sure that will sort everything out.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Bless him.
But I just love the fact that he literally was like doing this long drive, talking the whole way, got there, is like, here's your bag, bye.
Bye.
I'm off.
Like, what the hell?
Like, really abandoned her because by the time they came out, he was gone. There was anyone in the house.
I remember stopping and thinking, oh, just as well as people there. Like, abandon the kids in the middle of nowhere after this long drive. Bye.
Like, see you later.
Oh god. Yeah.
It was. I have to admit, I did giggle. I did have a chuckle at that.
I just think the way that I think I mentioned this in the vlog that I did. Like, I forgot when I started to read this again that she was mute.
So did I.
Just because it doesn't ever feel like there's anything missing. There's like a whole character who she doesn't actually communicate with other people that much. And the fact that you go through this book with her doing very little communication, when it's described to you because it's not an actual dialogue. It's just she's actually signing, so it has to be described to you as to what she's doing. Like, it doesn't ever feel like there's too much exposition or too much explanation, or you don't ever feel like it's an overload of information or info dumping. And
Right.
I was like, oh shit, yeah, she's mute. Like, it just went out of my head. I totally forgot.
Yeah,
I like that same thing. I totally forgot that she was, and I think it's partly just because when you've kind of like read it and then you get some distance from it, the main things you remember is like the house, and you remember like the creepiness, but also you just remember like the character vibes, if that makes sense. And
yeah,
you remember like, because the characters do still like get really good progression, and they do get like, you can tell that there's still chemistry there. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's still character chemistry there, and they still like interact really well. So because you don't use any of that kind of little bit just goes out of your head. And I think that's one of like the best things about the book, because she is never presented, even though it is a hindrance to her life, it never holds her back.
Yeah,
she always finds a way around it. So even though it made life shit at the orphanage, but she still found a way to like get through. And then when she got to a new place, oh great, well, I found someone that can sign, except my cousin can't sign and he can't read, so they find a different way of communicating. And I just thought it was really cool. I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, I was going to say the thing I liked was, although she didn't have that communication, her communication with everybody in the book was different, which I really liked. It wasn't so like, you know, she could sign with one, she could write for the other, she did pictures for the other, she had the mental communication with the ghouls and with the other side. Like, I love the fact that it was never portrayed as something that held her back. She had all of these avenues at her disposal. It just so happened she couldn't speak back, but it wasn't that she failed to get her views across. She just physically didn't verbalize them. And I love that rep. I love the fact that there's not one page in this book that made me think, oh, speaking there would have made that easier. Like, yeah, it would have, but it didn't once hold her back. Okay, the orphanage was shit and the kids were crap, But let's face it, if she had walking sticks or if she had a wheelchair, the kids would have been just as crap for a different reason.
Yeah.
Like, kids are kids and kids are shit sometimes. But, like, that found it really weird. But you know what I mean? Like, kids can be mean. Adults can be mean too, but, like, kids
Yeah.
can be especially mean, especially when they were in such a bad circumstance. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you want to push yourself up a bit and feel a bit better about yourself when things are crap. But yeah, I absolutely love the fact that I think that's why for me it didn't feel like it was holding anything back, her not speaking, because like you still
Yeah,
heard
I get
other
what you
people
mean.
speaking. You had all of these different things, so it never got old. It wasn't like 300 pages of her only doing one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think as well,
Yeah.
once she kind of got to Gallant, apart from when her cousin was like actively avoiding communicating with her,
Yeah.
everyone like really made an effort. And so then it just felt like normal interactions.
yeah,
Because
Yeah.
even though you weren't hearing her side of it, obviously you could read her side of it because you could read what she was thinking, but
Yeah.
you could also see how she got it across, and there was still like a full conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's why once she gets to the house, it really does kind of feel like just a standard like character build up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that one bit that was holding her back, it doesn't hold her back as much once she gets to the house because she has people that are actually willing to work with her.
because
Yeah.
she's meant to be there.
But can we like at some
Maybe.
points though?
Kind
At
of.
some points though, I felt like saying, Olivia, when they say don't do something, don't do it. Because she's like, oh, there's a door. I'll open this. They'll tell me not to go outside in the dark because the dark has creepy things and bad things in it. So I'm just gonna go outside when I'm not supposed to. When I open this door, I'm not supposed to. And then this thing comes in and just freak. And I'm just like, oh my god, Olivia.
But the
Oh, I
dark
see
things
it.
and the creepy things don't scare me.
Yeah.
No.
Because she's just like, oh, they probably like think ghouls are scary, but they're not really. She just doesn't realise that the ghouls at Gallant are like ghouls.
Terrifying.
like from the
It's
other
like everything else
side.
he said, didn't he? He stand in the garden, get back, get back, get back in that fucking house.
like even when it was like I knew something was like really. I think I know that it didn't come out until later on that blood was a trigger
Needed.
to need to open the to the side. But as soon as she cut herself, I knew that blood was an important part of it because the way that Matthew freaked out,
Yeah.
and the way that like they just huddled around her to like wrap up this like little cut that she had, and she's just like, this is weird.
Oh my god, I didn't click about that.
Yeah.
I
That's when it
had
starts
it.
to build, and they start to kind
Yeah.
of feed you pieces of information. And sometimes that would annoy me because I'm just like, oh, if you know, and just tell her. But because he was like so actively did not want her there, did not want her to get involved, really was trying to protect her, was like, we just need to get her out, get her away from the house, and all that. So because it was purposely being done, like it wasn't that he was just doing it to be mysterious. Like he didn't want her to know, he didn't want her involved, he wanted her gone. So why the hell would he tell her any of it? Because then she might feel obligated to stay, and that's absolutely not what he wanted at the start.
Yeah.
So
he didn't want her to know anything, so it couldn't be used against her. So like, I totally got that. Yeah.
So then that's when they start like with when she cuts her hand and the reaction, and you start to feel like, okay, there's quite a few more ghouls here, and why can't we go out dark? And why do the weeds grow so much? And what is the deal? Why is he patching that small patch of wall? Like it's literally not even a full wall. You can literally walk around the inside of it. Why are we, like, I don't understand the issue. And then as it slowly gets revealed, you're like, patch that fucking wall. Get rid of them weeds. Put the gloves on, for God's sake.
I like the fact that when she'd drawn it as well, every time she looked at it, she was like, this isn't right. This isn't right. This isn't right. What is it? And then as she was getting closer, I was like, bitch, stop. Why are you going closer? Would you stop? Right. Oh, she's there now. Oh, she's in a shadow. I was like, this just constantly in my head. I was like, I could not be you right now. Like, just turn around, just run away. Like, I would be the last person out that door. Yeah, I am not that that brave. I would be running in the opposite direction.
Yeah, no,
I can admit that. It's fine.
I do like the fact that it did drip feed things for you. And initially, I really didn't like Matthew because when you first meet him, he just seems a bit like a brat, doesn't he? Obviously, you kind of think, well, maybe there's something else going on, but you don't really. It's not really at the forefront of your mind. He's just acting like a little, like a little brat. It's like, oh, there's another member of the family. There shouldn't be another prior. I'm the last prior, whatever. And then I was thinking, like, why are you being such a little shit? But then you realise he's doing it because he was trying to protect her. And then you kind of think, like, oh, that was really sad that,
Yeah.
like, it felt like he had to do it all alone. And then when you see his health deteriorate, and, like, the night terrors and things like that, like, taking that he's doing all that, he's taking all that shit so that she doesn't have to deal with any of it. I was just like, oh, maybe I don't dislike you. Maybe you're not an asshole. You're just trying. It's like you're trying to protect her, and that was really sweet. It definitely gives you a different side to him. I still didn't 100% like him, because once they realised that she was staying, and that she was stubborn, and she was putting her foot down, and she was getting herself into situations like cutting herself. If she'd have known about it before then, she would have been more careful.
So much more careful.
Do you know what I mean? So with things like that, I'm thinking, sometimes withholding things from her, she didn't put herself in situations where she's getting hurt or she's gonna do something stupid, like going to the other side.
It kind of backfired a little bit, didn't it? But I think he was like, at the start, he was like, well, she's not going to be here because we're gonna get a car for her, aren't we? And
tomorrow, Dawn, she's going.
What's the woman's name?
Hannah. I literally just looked it up. Hannah and Edgar. That was what this page was for.
So, yeah, we're gonna get a car.
Yeah. She'll be gone. I called the car, and then the next day she's like, "Car's in the shop." Hannah,
it'd be fine.
I get it, but also Matthew does have a point. Like, maybe she shouldn't be here, but at the same time, like, where else is she gonna go?
Yeah, and also I think it would have found her regardless at this point because like her mum went a bit around the twist. I don't know if that's a nice way of saying it, but I mean the goals and everything.
The marbles.
She lost them, and I don't think she had very many of them to start with. But yeah, I actually managed. I don't know how because I don't have any tabs in this, and I actually managed to find 2 of the bits that I wanted to mention, and I'm very impressed. They're not in the right order, so we're going to go off on a tangent again because it's us. But you were saying about the wall. Why would you patch it when it doesn't go anywhere? I just love the fact that the description was. It's as she finds the shadow, and it's like, what good is a locked door in a wall that simply ends? The wall isn't even very long, a dozen places to each side, and she would reach the crumbled edge. Her feet are already carrying her toward it when something makes her slow, then stop. According to Matthew, there is something beyond the wall. She chews her lips. It is ridiculous, of course. She can see the space beyond, the open field stretching out to either side, but she cannot bring herself to round it. Instead, she returns to the door. There is a narrow gap where the iron gate meets the wall, the width of a finger, the space interrupted by the pair of bolts, and the sight of it tickles something in her mind, but she cannot place it. I love that then just becomes so much more. Mm-hmm. Like, at that point, I was like, girl, do not. And I was like, wait, we're this far into a book? She totally is. You know what I mean? When you know that totally is. When you know that it's just not going to end right. But yeah, I just love that it got interrupted by someone shouting her name, telling her fuck away from there. As Jem
but that's the thing. She's like, don't go near the wall. Don't do this. Don't do this. So she's like, oh, I'm gonna go near the wall. I'm gonna touch something I'm not supposed to.
She's a little rebel.
Honestly, I just love it. I love the descriptions on this book. There's just so many. And then, what do you think is actually just after that when she finds the actual other diary?
Oh, at the back of the bed.
Oh,
yeah.
That's sad. That's a sad moment.
I think the saddest bit of it is seeing how different her mum was.
Yeah.
Like, between the 2 notebooks.
Yeah.
and just kind of like watch it, having gone through the first notebook, or I guess the second notebook, but like her original notebook, and seeing kind of like, because you don't know what the pictures are yet, you kind of think it's the mum, and you're just like, wow, like what is going on, and
How
her mind's
is her
not quite
mind
there,
working?
and
Yeah.
and just kind of watching her fade away through the book. And then when she finds the other one, and it's like this really, like this young woman, like absolutely full of life, talking about a whole family that don't exist anymore. It's really sad.
Yeah. And the fact
finding out
that she's read the second journal so much that she knows it by heart
and she
Yeah.
could quote
enough
it.
to rewrite it out. Like
Exactly.
that is awful. Like
Yeah.
it's great she's got the eidetic memory to do that, but then you think, how many times have you sat by yourself and had to read that and watched your mum like lose her mind on page and like to basically torturing yourself, and like obviously at one point she still thinks that a mum might still be alive somewhere, but trying to hold on to that the end of the book don't mean that she's died, and like finding out that a mum actually is dead. Finding out a mum actually is gone, and that this thing
Has corrupted her in some way.
yeah,
Like her brain. But speaking of the journal, the fact that the pictures are from the other side were so cool.
Yeah.
Literally, when I got to that point, I was like, wait the fuck, what? Like, I literally had to stop, and I was like, because literally the last two words here, the last two lines is, the words are her mother's voice, the drawings are her father's. And I literally was like,
that's freaky.
I literally like sat back and I was like, say what? And then obviously the middle of the section is it all in order, like so you can actually read it without it being put all over the place. And I was listening to the audio. I don't know if either of you did the audio.
Yeah, I
Like the
did.
scratch throughs. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
heard the scratch throughs, and I was like sitting here and I was like mind blown. Like
The
I was
first
literally
time,
just like,
yeah.
oh my
I
God,
also
what's going on?
forgot. The first time I read it, I also audiobooked it, but I forgot that happened in the audiobook. So the first time they started reading from it, and then you had the scratch, I was like, what the fuck? Like, it proper shit me up, because I totally forgot that they read it out and then they scratch it and then continue. Like, because obviously I lived by myself and it was an eerie book, and I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is it? And then oh, I've got my earphones in. Like, it's the book. And then I was like, oh, right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, there was just so many things in a row that I kept going, oh my God, wait, what? And then it just kept happening. And I was like, this is literally a 300-page book with more oh my God moments in it than most books.
Yeah. I think, like, side note, the audiobook, the first time I read it physically. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Second time, did it as the audiobook, because I was like, well, I've already read it, so I need like just a refresher. And I listened to it in like one sitting during work, and I didn't speed it up as much as normal, but I like sped up a bit. And that guy is so good. Like his narration was just perfect. Like even it fit like the creepiness of the book. I felt really like immersed in it, and I was working at the same time, and I just thought he did an absolutely fantastic job.
Yeah, 100%.
But what I do think is, I think this book gets an unfair rap, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's not as good as like some of their other stuff, or like I don't really know what it's supposed to be. It's okay, and I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think when you said earlier about it being a bit kind of like the Near Witch, but it's almost like she took the thing that she did with the Near Witch, and she kind of upgraded it and used a similar kind of vibe. And I think it really shows how far she's come as a writer. And 100%. I think the thing that impacted this book when it came out is because everybody was talking about what age range is it supposed to be.
Yeah, that annoyed me.
He was like so focused on it, because they were like, well, I mean, like it's got like YA themes, but like maybe middle grade writing, but then some adult themes as well. And I'm like, why does it matter?
Just read it.
Not trying to put it in a box, just read it for what it is. And
Yeah.
I think if you just ignore all of that and you stop worrying about what age range it's supposed to be, or stop trying to like decide what genre it is or anything like that, if you just sit and read it, it is an absolutely brilliant story. And I think so many people are like missing out on that because they're focusing on the wrong things. And I think
saying,
a
it
lot
reads too young or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like,
people are just talking about that all the time.
yeah,
Like, stop focusing on that. Focus on the fact that it's this like really cool, almost like a ghost story with like a weird house, but it's really just about like life and death and like the fact that you need both, and like it's like
and
the
like
course
a fantastical twist on it,
Yeah.
and a bit of a light horror element to it. Like the fact that when you think about Schwab as a writer, they've done like eerie, they've done more serious contemporary, they've done kind of like adult, like kind of fantasy with like multiple POVs and stuff. So it's appreciation of the fact that they can do all this and still give amazing, like put out amazing books.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't care whether something is a middle grade, YA, adult, whatever. If the writing's good, the writing's good. If the writing's bad, the writing's bad. Like, you're gonna know it, you know. And I think if people, like you said, if people just paid attention to the story, you've got disability rep. You've got, like you said, you've got someone going through life, and you've got a mix of genres that just gives the perfect vibe. And I think for someone like, for readers like a couple of us that go off vibes, this is a perfect vibey book that just meshes enough of different genres to just, I think it could keep many people entertained.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a trawler.
Just quickly, a side note, can you hear my fan? Is it too loud?
No.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I answered as the daft bugger, but Lisa answered no too, so it's fine.
That's fine. As long as it's too loud, it just got really stuffy in here, but it's not cold enough to take this off. So
yeah, no, I can't hear it anyway. Yeah, I'm not a thriller or a horror. We'll get it right this time, reader. But things like vibes I can do. Like fantasy with vibes that make me think, oh my god, what is behind me? Great.
Yeah.
Like I can deal with that.
Yeah.
And Schwab does it fantastically in here. Ow. Just hit myself in the face.
So good, I hit myself.
Like this gave me vibes like the Twisted Tree Gem.
Yeah.
Yes, I think. Have
Like,
you read The Twisted Tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this gave me vibes like The House of Salt and Sorrow. Like this is now going to be my third book I would add to that recommendation. Like the
Thorora. Thorora fantasy.
My Thorora vibes.
Thorora fantasy.
Oh, you two aren't going to let me live that down now. But yeah, like it was just so good. And okay, so next thing to talk about. If I can find one. It's right at the start. This fucking pages.
Oh, the black pages.
I love how Schwab seems to do this. Like they did it with Our Dark Duet, where there was that, like, you know, they had the poetry page.
Yeah.
And because I was listening to the audio and not reading it, I didn't realize it was poetry, and it took me a lot longer than you two to figure out who that was. This time, because I was doing both, I did both.
Seeded it.
I seeded it. And the fact that obviously the second one starts with the master of the house is not alone. So I knew something was going on and it was linked to the house. But I'm pretty sure it was the one at the end of the third chapter. Yeah, so the one at the end of the third chapter, the one that is like, all he needs is a breath, all he needs is a drop, all he needs is her. I can't remember who I messaged, but I messaged someone at that point and I was like, okay, I think I know who this is this time, because the last one, it took me far too long to figure out the poetry thing. But this time I was like, I think I know. And then I was right. But it took me a long time.
So what did you think of the master of the house?
The master, he was fucking creepy.
As the villain, the big bad.
Yeah.
Jem likes him.
Sorry, I wasn't singing. Master of the house.
The house. To
To
be fair, you doing this actually made me know what you were doing because
I couldn't help it.
I've seen it too many times. I know this feeling.
Genuinely one of my favorite bits of the book because he's so quietly creepy. Because if you think about it, he does very little.
Yeah.
He is literally in another version of Gallant by himself, creating fake people to watch dance out of bits of himself, which is creepy.
We have 6 pages of his POV. That's it. 6.
And yes, all right, he's trying to come over to our world and like destroy it, but
Take over, you know.
Oh, yeah. This little thing.
Yeah, whatever. But I think because I don't think she ever like specifies that the master of the house is death, but that's kind of like the takeaway.
That's what
death vibes.
He's death. Yeah, it gives you death vibes.
And I was taking him as a death.
Yeah,
just as a death.
It's like as much as nobody wants to die. Nobody wishes death on anyone. Well, most
maybe the girl at the start that tore her journal.
Yeah.
That one.
Can we feed her up?
But it is like an inevitable part of life. You know, people don't live forever. So death has to happen at some point. And so in a way, he's just doing his job.
Yeah.
He might not be doing it very
nicely. Grim Reaper.
Literally his job.
But to find out like how she came about, so obviously the reason why she could see ghouls and stuff, and why she's part of him is because her dad was
part of him
and ran off with her.
Cool genealogical
So
because now
grandfather thing.
Is he your granddad then? Like,
or is he your dad? Because technically, if he was to have taken that tooth, was it tooth? Yeah. And put it back in, that
guy would not exist.
Their dad would not exist anymore, but the tooth would still exist and would be his tooth. So is he the father or is his tooth man the father?
I also loved it. Was it like the tall, the short, the skinny, and the wide? Like the 4 knights that he had?
Yeah.
I liked the different descriptions, and like once she realized she just had to get the armor plating off the part of the body that was covering his part of the body. Like I was thoroughly creeped out with the guys dancing that he was killing for sport. Like I was in that part of my head where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like this is not me. Like give me Psalm 100 and I can just about cope because that's fucking hilarious. But like I'm not that person. I'm the complete polar opposite of Gems. But like in general, this was just enough creepy, just enough oh my god, very, very high in the stakes to keep me turning pages and wanting to know what the fuck was going on. And every time I got to another bit, as I said, I was like, ah!
I don't know if you've seen the TikTok trend where they're going, he was the best guy around. And then it's like, so what about the people he murdered? And it's like, what murder? And people are doing that with like dogs and like characters and stuff. And I'm like, it's actually concerning how many of my characters would fit this. I'd be like, they're the best character ever. What about all the people they killed? What people? What? They killed no one. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have some RP characters that
really creepy when he was like making those people dance and then like killing them and stuff. I'm like, they weren't really people. They were like just part of him. So like really.
He's just reclaiming himself.
Just in his mind. So I know that if he didn't take the part out of himself and he was just sitting there imagining people dance, it would be the same thing. They're all just like a creation. They're not real. So he's a murderer.
He's a murderer.
What murder?
I did find it really interesting how every ghoul she saw, whether it was on either one of the Gallants, ended up being related to the priors. And she was like, oh, that kind of looks like the picture portrait gallery from this, which was fun because my copy has this.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Wait, which way am I tilting? And this is the one that he's removed
Yeah.
that ends up in his bedroom. So like I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Because I was like, why is there pictures? Like that made no sense to start with. And I was like, oh, well done, Illumicrate. Well done. As you do. And then it was when the ghost, the ghoul within other Gallant saved her and gave her the hidey spot.
oh,
And
they
then
could
when she
touch
went
her.
back,
It was like,
yeah.
ghouls can't touch me. Why can this ghoul touch me? That was like,
yeah. And then when he pulled him into like the safe spot, like the hidey bit, and then when she went back, they showed her more. Or was it Matthew that showed her more?
She showed him, then he was like, "How do you know about this?" Or like, yeah, and then
And
they
then-
started showing her more. Yeah.
Yeah, and because of that, obviously, she managed to escape. I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, at least something similar. But the fact that they were polar opposites, Gallant, and the tilty thing, I still can't quite figure it out, but I know it should be something like an amphisphere, like, you know, the gold things.
Yeah. I thought it was in.
Because obviously, like, the front of this one is like this, but that doesn't help me figure out how it turns. So, like, I know what I'm on about. It's fine. But the fact that you
maybe
saw...
that would kind of help, because I guess it's kind of like...
Oh, you've got more... Yeah, you've got lines on yours, but I don't.
Yeah, I think the lines around it kind of give you an idea of what that machine thing is like. I would pay so much money that I don't have to see that made for like a movie or something.
Yeah.
Just like what I would love to see how that works. That'd be really cool.
that would
Who'd
be really
you
cool.
picture as Miss Olivia?
Oh God.
I think Johnny Depp should play Death.
That would be good. I could picture someone like oh crap, what's his name? The guy who plays House and was in 101 Dalmatians.
Oh,
Hugh Laurie. Can you picture him as Edgar, like tall and thin and just kind of there and all grumpy in the background?
No. Oh God, I'm really not good at this sort of thing because I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
not
Can we
young
get
enough to
Jensen
play
Ackles in
Olivia.
this somehow?
Jensen.
Who did you say, Jeff?
Just get Jensen Ackles in there somehow.
Oh.
He can play someone.
Yeah.
He can play everyone.
It could be Matthew.
He's that talented.
I was gonna say Matthew Daddario for Matthew, like that brooding, the guy who plays Alec in Shadowhunters, the TV program, the second one, the black beard.
Oh. I don't know. But I think certain books lend themselves to being like made into films and series. I just wish that people would do it in a way that didn't fuck it up. Because there's so many things that I've read, this being one of them, Dark Shade of Magic being another, that would be so amazing into a on-screen adaptation.
Well, Darker Shade of Magic is being adapted, but it's been being adapted for a long time. Oh, okay.
Matthew,
But he's not gaunt enough. I can't find a gaunt, grumpy picture. I can either see thin or grumpy, but like I have a picture of him in my head that would work. But like I just pictured that like dark. I don't know if it's because he's dark and broody that I just pictured dark hair. Like I can't actually remember it saying in the book what kind of hair he had.
No, I don't know.
No idea.
But what did we think of the caretakers of the place that were sort of looking after?
They're so cute.
We love cute guardians.
I love them. I love them because they care
Hannah.
so much for both
And
of them.
Edgar's cute.
They are. I mean, obviously they care about each other so much. That comes across even in like the smallest interactions. Like I didn't even really need it to be said. Like when her mum was reading the journal, like, oh, they're falling in love. Like I already knew, and it didn't need to. I didn't need to see them like kiss or profess their love to each other. It came across in like the simple things, like the looks that she caught, or like the small touches, and just how they were with each other, so comfortable.
Yeah,
like it was so obvious.
Yeah,
and
I like the fact
that
that
kind of then spread out over the two kids, because they're teenagers, aren't they? So like the two
Yeah.
teenagers, because you could see how much they cared for Matthew, and they were like, we are literally all he has. He's lost everyone. We've got to protect him. And they're like doing all the stuff around the house. They're looking out for him. They think, do you know what, actually it would be good if Olivia would stay. So they like rig it so that she stays. And then the scene with the night terror is probably like one of the hardest scenes ever. And it's the fact that they already know what to do. This is like a regular occurrence for them. And they're already ready to go. They know they have their roles. They're all practiced. They sort him out. They protect him. Love him. Found family at its best. They didn't need to be with him by blood to look out.
Yeah, I think the only thing that the journal entry added for me was the fact that it had been going that long. Like, it didn't need to be said that they were together. I was the same as you. Completely got it. Completely trusted in the fact that they loved each other. Like, it did not need to be put down. But the fact that her mum, so that's like 16 to like 20 years, like the fact that it was that long was the only thing I took from that. The fact that I was like, yes, okay, you've been here. You've been through so many priors going through this crap and you're still here. You are not blood related. You aren't a prior. Technically, you can fuck off, but you still choose to be here through all of this crap and all of these people going through this. Like, you know, you've lost her mum, you've lost Grace, who you were both close to, you've lost his dad, you've lost his brother, you've lost the little one. Like, you've seen him slowly deteriorating, and now you've got this new person in who you want to protect to help Matthew. But you could technically leave, but you don't. I was like,
Yeah.
Have I said I love Schwab's writing? Have I said through the course of either this live or any of the other ones that I like Schwab's writing?
I had no idea.
I am living for Schwabalong.
Found family vibes are just one of my favourite things. Like found family tropes, one of my favourite things, especially when it's done well. And just like you're saying that, like the fact that they just put other people before themselves, and I love a good like guardian. Parents may be absent for one reason or another, but found family and great guardians always step in some way.
Also, speaking of like the parents and that, it made me really sad when he was like showing her the piano and he was talking about like how his dad used to teach him. Is it his dad?
Yeah.
And his dad used to teach him that, and then he was just starting to teach Olivia.
But also, at the end, they keep playing. My heart cannot handle this level of cute. Like, she can see him, and no, it's not allowed. Where was it? Literally, no, like that's not the right bit. That's with the. There's literally a bit where like he starts playing anyway, and because she can see him, she can continue to follow his fingers to keep learning. And I was literally sitting here, I was like, this is just Schwab, what are you doing to me? Like 300 pages. Like most people cannot put this.
It's a lot to say. It's such a short book, isn't it?
Oh god, yeah.
When we go to the other side and she thinks she's seen his
look at the
little
roses.
brother, the prey. When they think she's
the little brother,
she's little brother, and she wants to go back for him. That broke my heart. Like I didn't cry at this book, but that brought a lump to my throat when Matthew was like, "Could there be a chance that he's alive?" And then when you saw, he was like, "No, that's not him. That's not him."
So cruel because she goes through so much to get him, and then literally it's all just a ploy. And it's that moment where Matthew's face goes from being like really hopeful to being like, get away, that is not my brother. And it's just like that's that bit where your stomach just drops because you're like, oh, she's just gone through all of that. Like she's had to go back over there. She's searched through the whole room. She's like through the whole house. She's faced off against him. She's just managed to get away with what she thinks is his brother. And all she's done is basically take him to the entrance. And then because she's so busy dealing with that, death can just waltz right through. And also, can we talk about fucking cruel it was that Matthew thought he'd sealed the door, but because he put it on the weed and not the actual door, it didn't work.
My heart was
That-
in pieces.
That was such a sneaky fucking.
But also, I can't remember if it's before or after that you realise that Edgar and Hannah are outside the house, like protecting the house from, like, physically outside against death or whatever we're classifying the shadows. And it was the fact that it was like, you two could be safe. Go.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't have more of you hurt. There's like 6 characters in this book that you're meant to, like, actually know. Like, I just
Yeah, it's a small cast.
Yeah, again, that's another thing that you see, you forget how small of a cast it is because there's so much packed into it, and it's just the right amount of like characterization and plot that keeps you interested. And just with Matthew at the end, like not wanting to be alone, like that.
Yeah. Yep.
It was just like, okay, that's my heart. You are stabbing. You are stabbing. You've now clenched it, and ouchie, ouch.
It's fine. I didn't need my heart anyway.
it's just I just hated the fact that it literally was like she was stroking his hair and he was like, stay until I fall asleep, and I was like, no, this isn't allowed. Like, we got to this far from the end.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I was safe. I thought with Schwab I was safe. I should
You
know
are
by
never
now I'm
safe.
not.
Big mistake. Huge.
It was just the fact though that it was like, I don't want to read it word for word because it will make me hurt again. No, should I read it? Oh, fuck it. Why not? It's 3 lines. You're all gonna die with me. You're all gonna hurt with me. She is there, and so is Hannah and Edgar. And then out of the darkest comes the ghoul. Arthur Pryor sinks to the ground beside his son.
No, he doesn't.
no, he
I heard
doesn't.
you listen
He's
to these lines.
James just
You
trying
tell
to
me
distract
lies.
himself by looking at standing.
Yeah. I'm just going to rearrange my acrylics while you talk lies. You tell me when you get back to that. She's talking about what happened in the book. I refuse to believe it happened, okay?
It was 2 pages from the end.
So we can ignore it and pretend it never happened, right?
Yeah.
They all lived happily ever after. Matthew recovered and sat down and continued to teach Olivia piano and learn sign language, and then they could talk to each other and finally communicate like normal human beings.
It's the only thing I know in sign language. Thank you.
Okay. I've got a big question for you.
Oh no. Okay.
Do you think Olivia meets someone and starts a family to continue the tradition? Or do you think it dies with Olivia? And if it does, what happens? Is the door locked forever? Or does he eventually break through?
I don't want to think about it.
I'd love to say that she meets someone just so they aren't alone, the 3 of them. Like, I like the idea of them managing to refill the house. Like, not necessarily just with one generation, but like it's steadily building. We'll give them a few generations to refill the house. But like they constantly said the house was too big for 3 or like for 4, and like they were rattling around, and like I'd love to see them actually do something like
open an orphanage. I think Olivia with Edgar and Hannah decide to open their own orphanage where they care and actually care for the kids, and then Olivia meets a person and meets her person, and then they take over and run the orphanage and fill it with love, and the door stays locked and Death stays in his shadowy place, and they
all do Saturday chores of pulling up weeds.
They name a wing of it or a room like Matthew's room, like something to commemorate Matthew, and it's all happy and peachy, and They grow roses in the garden because they look pretty.
Okay.
I like her answer better than my answer.
Here's another question for you.
No, you need to give us your
Say
answer first.
Olivia does everything that you say, right? She makes an orphanage. She brings all these kids, child of her own. She continues the prior bloodline. Is that fair on any of those kids? Because you've brought all of these orphans to a place where you're literally battling to keep death locked away, and then you create another member of your family that's going to have to carry on that and still have to like protect the wall all the time and still have. We can only assume that he's still trying to get into Olivia's head from across the wall. He still wants out just because the door locked. And
I don't want her to be alone.
It stayed locked. It stayed locked. He gave up. And then the garden was just allowed to be a garden and tended like a normal garden. No more shitty weeds grew up, other than the normal shitty weeds that normal gardeners have to pull up. Death just decided, like, do you know what? I'm just gonna give this one a miss. I've been defeated.
That does seem to be his MO in the book. He does seem to be very easily persuaded to just not
Give up.
worry about it. He certainly hasn't tormented many people to the point of madness and convinced people to kill themselves. I'm sure he'll give up now, especially now that he knows the person that he wants most is literally on the other side of the gate. I'm sure
and has his own blood.
Do you think that makes a difference?
Give me my happy wrath, bitch.
Do you think if she locks it because she's prior and him, it makes it unbreakable for him?
Yeah, I think it's stronger with it being her blood because she is part of each world.
Okay. What about
I don't necessarily think it's enough to keep him out, but I do think it would be harder for him to break out.
I'm helping. What about, right, if she doesn't? If it's just the three of them and she dies, right? Does the lock hold? Or do you think that
if it had been,
there always has to be a prior there is true, and without a prior, the wards will break and be let loose?
If it had been any of the previous priors, the blood would have broken when they passed away. But because it's her blood, it will still hold somewhat. And I think as long as she gets buried on there because she can see ghouls and talk to them, that she will still be classified as a prior on the land.
I like that. So now imagine, right?
No, I got an answer. I like my answer.
No. I think that is a really good. I think that's a really good answer. I think it's a really good point. I think the fact that she's like between the two worlds is definitely a good thing.
I think it is enough to make it stronger.
So imagine if her mum hadn't run off, had the baby at Gallant, and let it be raised at Gallant.
She'd have known not to fucking get her hand caught in thorns to fucking start with.
Do you think that if they had used her blood to seal the door, that maybe Matthew's brother and dad and that would still be alive?
Oh, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I don't think she would have been old enough to start with, so maybe not the brother, like the dad's brother.
Yeah. But maybe his little brother, right?
Maybe the little brother, yeah. But then
maybe Grace would still be alive as well, right?
Grace was going downhill though because she was already pulled in. But then what did she go worse downhill because she left?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I think she genuinely got worse because she left Gallant. Like if they're not at Gallant to start with, they don't have that tug. Like okay, she can see ghouls, but that's different. That's her dad's side, not her mum's side.
I'm asking all the good questions.
Hey, I'm having a great time. This book has already killed us. The book has already killed my heart. So, I mean, the questions.
I'm just dealing in hypotheticals. I'm just asking a question.
Do you know how you want me to read Attack on Titan? Do you know how you want me to watch season 2?
Please watch season 2.
Have my bendy finger.
No, don't. Oh, it came. Okay, good.
It arrived today. I came home from a shitty day at work to a present. It's not on my TBR for this month, but I mean, I've got 28 books and I'm trying to get to 31, so...
But question, are you happy for this to just be a standalone?
No.
Yes.
Especially not now Jem has asked me all those questions. But yes, actually, because I think my answer is the best answer ever. Like, it is now canon.
I like it, and that was kind of what the reason for me asking all those questions is I like the fact that it still feels like the story is not fully over. Like there's still so much future for Olivia, and
Yeah.
you can kind of come up with theories on how it's going to play out yourself.
Look, my one's different.
I think it would have been too easy for it to be like if it carried on, they've either got to say that he tries to break out again and she stops him,
or everything's hunky-dory.
Yeah, and I think it's better to kind of, because I think that there's no way that he stops after that attempt. He's been trying a long time. He doesn't just stop just because she's there. So I think that he's going to keep trying and she'll continue to stop him. I do think that she'll continue to stop him. But I kind of I don't want to know for sure. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want her to write a second book and be like, this is how it all goes. Not particularly. I mean, if she writes a second book, I'll damn well read it.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't need one.
You know what I would quite like? A time jump. Give me a book in 30 years and tell me what actually happened. Like, give me a book when she's in her late 30s, in her 40s, when, you know, unfortunately, Edgar and Hannah will either be really old or will have passed away just because of age, not because of...
I was like, yeah, I could go for a time jump book. No,
but like,
sorry.
Maybe, well, it doesn't need to be that long, but like even 20 years when she's
10.
You know what I mean? Like just a time.
Save 10. Save 10 where she's old enough to have.
You're gonna be sure that they're still around.
Yeah, but like you know what I mean? Like when it's been a while, when it's never going to be about the fact they're at Gallant and it's a prior estate that they are passing away. When it will be, they have fucking lived their life. They have done exactly what they set out to do. When she has figured out how to be around Gallant and to figure out what to do with the door. Like, tell me what happens then.
Hannah and Edgar are going to be ghouls on the property.
Oh, they're going to be like the worst poltergeist. Like, can you imagine trying to put a step wrong when Hannah's like, my kitchen, get the fuck out. Like, can you imagine? Like, they'd be worse than...
my main reason for liking the end and not wanting any more and leaving it as it is.
Because you can imagine.
Because she has contained death, but he is not conquered. Because you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't have a world without death.
With no death. It doesn't work.
It is what it is. It's a natural thing. It is, you know, it happens. And I think as much as I like characters or stories that have death as a character, I think the moment you start being like, we've defeated death, okay, what now? What, so 7 billion people have to live forever, constantly procreating? Where do they all go? What do you do? Like, it's not feasible. Like, are we moving to space? Is this why we have to move to space? Because some idiot now people are living to be 3,000 when, come on, please. So I like that fact that although she stopped it from like becoming worse, so it's not like destroyed loads of lives in one fell swoop and like made all the garden die, all the world die, it's not killed off the earth and that, it's still there because you can't get rid of it. And I don't really want a second book exploring what happens next purely because you've kind of got to go one of two ways. Either it's got to be, yeah, we still have death contained, or we're gonna
rebattle him, and still try and redo what we're doing.
So I kind of think, in that regards, it's perfect as it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want another book.
No. As much as I would love a book, and I will always read everything that comes forward from Schwab, I like where it's at. I like that I can picture the fact that, you know, in my head now, them dying and them all, because technically the whole line are there. Like, the whole way through that book, we've seen nothing but priors. Like 3/4 of the characters in this book are ghouls that are priors. They're all on Gallant in both equivalents. So surely there's priors there to protect it. They all stood up and she called them to her to help her protect it. Like,
Yeah, that's
I don't
an
know.
interesting- yeah.
I don't know how valid that is, but technically, if all of them are buried on the ground, that's a fuck ton of priors on there.
Hey,
Like,
we love a supernatural loophole.
We do.
I will take it. But also, how pissed off would you be if you realised that 5 generations ago they could have just buried everyone and then gone, fuck it, call it quits, death is contained, and then you realise you haven't done that.
Oh my god, that'd be
Oops.
a nightmare.
Oops. I have to admit, though, one of the things I like fantasy is where they kill demons and monsters and like the big bads, but it's always a case of we've never conquered them properly. They always come back. It's just how long they stay away for.
Yeah.
Like Rick Riordan does it with Percy Jackson monsters. Like it's never a case of you fully defeat them. They will always like come back. It's just how long they lie dormant for.
Mhm.
I can't remember which one of there was. I'm literally thinking about it because it's here. There was one of the baddies in that came back and they'd like defeated them in like books 1 to 3. I can't remember which book it was, and I honestly something. I've read them all so quickly. And they were like,
I've
"Oh,
not
but
read
we
any of
fucking
them.
killed that." And they're like, "Yeah, well, they always come back. It just depends like how long it takes to regenerate." And I kind of like that about the big bads. Like you can't get rid of death. You can't get rid of famine. Like that's why they are considered the horsemen of the apocalypse. Like they're always there. They're just varying degrees of there.
But yeah,
I
I
love
really
this
enjoyed
book.
this book. I'm
In case you haven't figured.
I'm on a Schwab high, so the only thing that I've given 4 stars to, I think, I will need to double check, is the first book.
Yeah,
Yep. Same.
Yeah.
I think I gave one of the Dark Vault books a 4.5. I think.
Yeah.
I think I did 4.5, 5.
I did 5,
think-
5.
Stop it.
I need to double check. I should probably add a rating list to my library list so that I can keep track, but that would be too simple.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Why would you
5
do
star.
Why doesn't it show my rating? I don't care what other people rated it. Show me
I
my
don't
rating.
care.
Oh, the app. So wank.
Did you say so wank?
Yeah, I did. Sorry. I forgot what it was.
So yeah, I did 4 for the Near Witch, 4.5 for our Savage Song, and 5 for everything else. Is that us halfway through? Are we more than halfway through now?
What
So
have we got now?
Near
So we've got
Witch,
we've got
2,
Vicious
3,
Conventional, the 3 Castle
Casty
Blakes,
Blakes, Addy,
Addy.
and then depends if you're doing Everyday Angel.
Yeah. So 6,
So yeah,
7 if we do Everyday Angel, 8 if we do all of the graphic novels at some point and just have like a chat for it. So
yeah, and then Threads of Power. Can't forget Threads of Power, Sam.
Teasing me. It's not here
Can't
yet.
forget Threads of Power because it's not here yet.
That's kind of
Literally.
satisfying though, because that means that December should be our last book.
Yeah.
Fully caught up.
Oh my god.
So
Is that right? May,
looking at
June,
the
Addy,
horrible.
2, 3, Threads of Power. May, June, July, August, September, October, November, Everyday Angel. Yeah. Depending how we do Everyday Angel and the graphic novels, November with a December live show should be the end. Oh my god. It feels like we started I know we started a while ago, but like we're actually clearing the backlist.
Just a side note.
We totally
for-
don't go on tangents. Don't know what you're on about.
Never. For Vicious,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there is a prequel novella called Warm Up,
Oh.
which is actually pretty good. It's just like a little prelude to it, but I don't know whether you guys. I just thought I'd let you guys know that it's there. I'm pretty sure you can read it for free on her website, or you could.
Okay.
So yeah,
We'll need
it
to-
might be
Do you
worth
actually read it beforehand?
Yeah, you can do. I think so. I
Okay.
mean, it's on as a 0.5.
It's just whether you read them in that order or if you read it in a different order that's always the issue.
Yeah, I can't remember which way I read it. I'm gonna go and jump out the window.
It's not as bad as mine, Jem. You're fine.
Oh, fucking book channel.
I read it. I did.
I just hate everything.
Did you read it with my trawler?
I read it when I was younger. I did.
I'm reading it. I did when I was a bit younger.
Oh no.
I feel like read it is still not as bad as trawler, so you're fine.
No, I'm gonna say I read it this. I I read it Gallant this month.
I read it 27 books last month.
Wow.
So this month, the month of Inyanamime, is the Vicious book for the Vicious.
Yeah, which I have zero idea where my copy is. Like I cannot even begin thinking where it is, because I packed everything up in like February, and I didn't think, what order are we reading these books in? So I have no idea. So
just get the audio; it's absolutely fine. And we're gonna have thoughts, feelings, and ponderances over on the lovely Gem's channel.
Me? Yes.
you for
me.
Vicious next.
I knew that.
Yeah. Also, so
I'm
it's
still looking
Vicious.
at warm up.
I love that we did you two for the last duology. You two for the last duology, me for solo, then you two for the next duology, and then me for Addy.
Yeah, that's because I won't be able to function at leading a live during Addy. I'll be too busy crying.
I will make sure to take notes on that. This one was just intense the whole way through. I was like, I will remember everything in this. Like,
yeah. So this is
300 pages of go.
This is very much like Aurora Cycle, like Aurora Rising, where
we're all doing great at the talking.
So the talking is very good. You don't need to take notes on it because it's not like a massive, complex.
Hi, Kay.
Plot. Hi. Good. Yes, it's not a massive, complex plot. So it's
very
easy
contained.
to remember everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Vicious, I'm gonna have to take notes on. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reddit advises to actually read it after, but it was published first, I think. But V. Schwab themselves says Warm Up was published before Vicious as an intro to the world, but it can be read before or after. And it's free to read on tor.com. I'll send you the link. And it's 15 whole pages.
So basically, we will make sure we read that as well.
You might want to, yeah. I mean, it might add a little bit. I just thought I'd let you know it existed.
No, I didn't know it was there, so that's definitely good.
I'm really excited.
I'm excited to reread it.
I might have to save it until after, because these are just a few of my TBR for this month.
Yeah,
and then that is the rest. not fractal noise
later in the month, because
I don't have my fractal noise yet. I haven't purchased it, and I'm very sad.
I got it gifted.
So I have all of these on top of Eldest for somebody else's read along, and that's 700 pages on top of this, and then I'm missing A Fire Endless, which is another 500 pages on top of this, and Vicious, which is another 400 pages on top of this, on top of all the ones I've already read.
I'm going
Fucking
to
days, I love.
later in the month because I can't tab and annotate it because I've only got my hardback and I can't afford the paperbacks that I want. So I'm just going to make notes, and then when I save up and can buy the fancy paperbacks I want, I'll tab and annotate them.
Oh no, you'll have to do a reread. What
No.
a shame.
We
So
totally
awful
don't
for
do them
me.
here. Totally don't do them here. Don't know what you're on about.
Haven't done a whole read along of them because that would be crazy. Co-hosting a readathon of books that a readathon.
Just a read along.
Read along.
What are we doing?
A read along. Schwab
sorry.
along. It's in the title, Gem.
One of those. I'm doing one of those for books that I've already read, not me. Here's a tab.
Oh my god, she's delirious. Abort! Abort!
I've been delirious since 1997.
Well, that's 7 years sooner than me. I've been delirious since about 92, if even then.
87
Cray
for
cray.
me. Look, can you see the kitty?
Oh, cute. We will probably figure out a date for the live show at some point and do our best to announce it better than this
Beginning
one.
of May. Nope.
No, beginning of June.
Well, I mean, we might as well go off worse.
Peace out, bitches.
We were so good at organising and announcing the live shows. We're telling you this one. You haven't even read the book yet. The live show tomorrow. See you back here.
Bye. Yeah, no, we will do sometime in.
I'm okay. I am okay.
In whatever month it is that comes after May.
It's gonna be June.
Is it? May?
Yeah.
Yeah, June. I don't know my fruits.
Okay. Oh dear. I think we all need tea.
Hey, I need to lie down.
I don't think tea will fix us, to be fair, at this point. Has Lisa fallen off her chair?
I'm here.
Welcome to Schwabalong, where we have super serious discussions.
Deeper serious discussions about books.
We are saying
With deeper serious.
not really, but you know, we have a good laugh.
We have fun. We're
Super.
fun.
Super duper.
We have super fun people.
Super.
On that note, should we end the
Super.
live? Because otherwise we're just going to go in circles.
Yeah.
Okay, super. See you all
really
next
enjoyed
month.
it, and I can't wait for Vicious.
It'll be fun. Oh look, it's Be Like Vicious and Be Like Vengeful. I can't do two and end it at the same time though, so I just give you one.
I'll give you two.
Wow. Oh no!
I hit the wrong button.
I was about to message you and be like, babe, we're still here. Come back.
I literally, instead of hitting end broadcast, I hit the X at the top. Let's try that again, because we're obviously in one whole piece today. Let's try that again. Let's hit the end broadcast.